So, from the Way of Nagomi, chapter 3, Nagomi of Self, I read Japanese a part about the Japanese culture of anonymity. In Japan, anonymity has been a big part in the construction of the self in the social context. In Japan's waka poetry tradition, it is quite acceptable and often uh, even fashionable to submit and present a work as Yomihito Shirazu, literary author unknown. Sometimes emperors and other nobles would craft a waka poem and sign it as being by author unknown due to the sensitivity of the subject or the particular social situations involved. Many of them are romantic love poems involving passionate emotions and wild imaginations. Yomishito Shirazu waka poem from the 10th century wishes that the cherry blossoms would fall heavy so that the road would become invisible, preventing the lover from going away. How romantic. Yomishito Shira's poem would then often find its way into a prestigious collection of poems edited by the royal court and endorsed by the emperor. Most significantly, Japan's national anthem, Kimi ga yo, Forever Your Rain, has a lyric that dates back to the Kokin Wakashu, collection of Japanese poems of ancient and modern times, which was published around the year 905 and was written by an unknown author, Yomishito Shirazu. In Japan, anonymity has always been a socially accepted attitude. It is a respectable mode in which to express oneself, clearly even to the degree that a poem by an unknown author could become the lyrics of the national anthem. Here are the lyrics info. It is one of the world's shortest national anthems. 君が代は千代にや千代に、さざれ石の岩尾となりて、苔の結まで。Thousands of years of happy reign be thine. Rule on, my lord, until what are pebbles now, by ages united to mighty rocks shall grow, whose venerable size the moth doth line. The English translation is by the British Japanologist Basil Chamberlain. The culture of anonymity runs deep in the land of the rising sun, and the ethos of anonymity as an expression of individual existence has deep resonance with Japan's culture of Nagomi. Anonymity is a beautiful example of the Nagomi of the self in society, whereby the fruits of creativity are not necessarily associated with individual identities. So, this is a really interesting case where the concept of self has a really blurry border, if you like, and so in the West, the self is at the center of creative genius, but in Japan, the self is kind of in a Nagomi relationship with the rest of the world. So the self is not at the center of the creative universe. I mean, you can play hide and seek when you create something, because you don't necessarily have to let yourself be known when you present your work to the world. So this really, subdued idea about how to go about in the world with your unique identity is at the center of the Japanese conception of creativity. I think it is not a perfect attitude. It can sometimes lead to difficult situations, like in the case of cyberbullying. We have our share of trolls and so on. In those cases, of course, anonymity is a problem. But on the other hand, in the best cases, anonymity can be the really, really wonderful principle behind the creative genius is expressed by Japanese people. For example, as you might know, there are many wonderful works inspired by our famous manga and anime works on the internet and in the comic market. And these individuals do not necessarily, say that, hey, I am here, and hey, I'm here, and this is the world that I created. Sometimes they remain anonymous, and but yet their creative genius is so manifest to see. So this is a wonderful aspect of the Nagomi culture, Nagomi of the self, anonymity. And I hope you, if you're interested, please do read my book, The Way of Nagomi, where I discuss the Nagomi of the self and many other things. Please do read this. And this is the author. Well, it looks like me.